This is you. You're halfway through making your game. But you stop for a second, and you have a thought. Is this game any good? You have fun playing your game, so it must be good. Just to be sure, you decide to get your friend to play the game. They stare at the black screen for a few seconds, and you nudge them. Spacebar starts the game. Oh, of course, they say. And then they're into playing your game. They say, what does this thing do? And you happily explain. They say, what does this thing on the screen mean? And you tell them. But you're starting to think they're a bit dumber than you first thought they were. They get stuck. They don't know what to do from this point in the game. And you're a bit frustrated because it's pretty obvious what they're supposed to do. You give in and tell them. After all, they have to experience the rest of your awesome game. After an amount of time that you felt was insufficient, the friend stops playing the game. So you ask them, how was it? And they say, pretty good. So there you go. You proved yourself right. The game is good. Problem solved. But of course, at the end of all of this, you don't really know. When you play your game yourself, you're playing with perfect knowledge of how your game works. And when you sit behind your friend playing your game, they play differently than if you weren't there with them. It might be that you can't stop yourself from helping them. But even if you can, they still gauge what they are doing off of your reactions. And they will likely not give up as easily since they don't want to let you down. On top of this, the feedback they give you will probably be kinder than it should be on account of your friendship, unless you got mean friends. I recently put my game, Cat-Powered UFO, out for playtesters. The first report I got back, I can't start the game. You had to press spacebar to start the opening cutscene. It was obvious to me. I pressed spacebar without thinking about it. When I had friends play the game, I instinctively told them to press spacebar, even though I was trying not to influence them. So yeah, I felt pretty stupid, but it made me realize something. When you try to judge the intuitiveness of your own game, you are the single worst person to count on. If you're making a game yourself, you really need to be letting strangers play your game as soon as possible. Get over the embarrassment of having an unfinished, unpolished project, because the sooner you get people playing it, the sooner you'll realize the mistakes you made. And it's easier to change things earlier in development than it is later on. Not to mention that they will likely try to do things in your game that you wouldn't have even thought of. For example, a playtester tried getting into the menu while the cutscene was running and it crashed the game. I would have never thought to try that since I knew there was no point into getting into the menu. So many bugs were discovered that I could have easily tested for myself if I had have thought to try these things. But of course, I would have never thought of it, and chances are you won't either. The same is true for balance. One of the starting enemies, a player couldn't get past it. They had trouble gauging the amount of power they were putting into the throw. I could hit the target 100% of the time myself, so I never even thought that it could be difficult. But it was silly of me to assume that it was going to be that easy, because you can't judge your own game.